Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Can you hear me in the back? Thumbs up, someone? Are we good? Great. How's everyone doing this morning? Good. All right, so we're here today to talk about graduate studies and kind of the discernment it takes to find out if that's the next steps for you guys. So my name is Jeff Beck, so I'm the Director of Online Admissions here at University of Mary. I'm a two-time alumni. I got my undergraduate degree when I was in my 20s at the Fargo location for business management, and then I got my MBA just 3 years ago on the online programs here. So the biggest thing I'm talking here, not because of from a director's perspective, but I want to talk to you more about my own experience as a student. And a lot of times graduate studies is not talked about a lot. When you're in high school, your counselors talk to you about going to college, getting your bachelor's degree, but a lot of times no one ever really informs us about graduate studies, and that was my own experience. So the first time I ever heard about an MBA, for example, and if you don't know what MBA is, don't be embarrassed. I was 25 years old, got my bachelor's in business management, and someone told me about, hey, you should consider about going for the MBA. And I'm like, what is that? And it's a Master in Business Administration. There is degrees in business beyond the bachelor's degree, and I had no clue about that. So what my goal for today is really to offer you guys just a lot of information about just the basics of what to know about graduate studies to see if it's right for you. Well, let's get started. So why am I talking to you today? There's basically three reasons why I'm really passionate about talking today. First is I believe in lifelong learning is just crucial for your own happiness and fulfillment through life. It makes life better when we continue to grow in any possible way. And then again, like I just said, is just a lot of confusion about what graduate studies is and is not. And I'm hopefully can provide you guys that information so you can make informed decisions about your next steps in your education. And then the last one is my own regrets. And the regrets I hear from our graduates all the time when I go to graduation. Most of our students for the graduate studies, the average age is 32 years old. They start the program in their 30s. And when we go to graduation, we always hear two things, is, I wish I would have done this 10 years ago. There's that Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree is now or it was 10 years ago. And so what I want you guys to think about it is make those plans so you're not in your 30s. Hopefully you do it in your 20s. And that's what I get most excited about when I'm working with students. The students I get most excited for are the ones that are around your age that decide to make the transition to graduate studies before they're 25 so that you guys can do, or you guys can avoid what I did and have to kind of live with that regret that I wish I would have done it sooner because it would have elevated my career faster. And then the other thing we always hear at graduation is, if I would have only known what graduate studies would have been like. We have this perception that it's a lot harder than it really is. We think when you go from the bachelor's to graduate degree, you're going from this huge leap that all of a sudden this is going to be way over my head. I can't handle it. But it's not. It's the next step. It's the same step you took when you went from high school to your bachelor's degree. And it's our own fear and our doubts about the unknown that makes it feel like it's going to be worse than it is. And I promise you, if you make the decision to go forward, you're going to be able to handle it. So what am I going to talk about? We're going to do definitions about what a graduate program is. I'm going to tell you more about my education story, and then why I believe a graduate degree is so valuable, and then what makes University of Mary's graduate programs the best choice for you. And then at the end, this is my favorite part, is those common misperceptions about graduate studies. Basically, these are all the questions I get day in and day out from anyone who's applying for our graduate studies programs. So, what is a graduate degree? According to the dictionary, it is an advanced degree to obtain mastery of a particular subject. So, the goal is to become an expert or to achieve greatness in your profession. So, what is mastery? Let's define that. It's the comprehensive knowledge or skill in a subject or accomplishment. So again, the idea is to strive for greatness, to be an expert in whatever skill or where you want to go. And the way I see it, let's go from the 60,000 viewpoint here and unpack this a little bit. I think there's basically two paths you should choose when you're leaving bachelor's program and what you're going to do next. One is finding your profession or your calling or your vocation. What do you want to do with your next steps? And think about it more too, is what are the gifts that God gave me, the strengths, the skill sets that I enjoy doing, and make that be your guide on where you go with your career. Don't fall into a trap like I did. So my first story is, when I was 21, I was going to school at Morehead State for my bachelor's degree. And I went to Morehead State first because I didn't know where I wanted to go, and my two best friends said they're going to Morehead State, and they're a year older than me, so I went there for that reason. And then I got done with my generals, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just piggybacked on what my best friends were doing. They were doing mass communications and advertising concentration. But what I soon learned when I went to the first spring term of the communications and advertising, it was all about being creative and being a strong writer, which I was not. And so I struggled, I had anxiety, and I didn't know what to do. So like any foolish 21-year-old I just dropped out. I just stopped going, and I failed all my other classes for that spring. And I decided that education wasn't for me. It wasn't my path. It wasn't making me happy. So then I decided I was going to go down. I was just going to focus on finding a job that I just loved to do. And so what I became was a bike mechanic. I was big into mountain biking. I did competitive racing. So then I made my focus on doing biking and being the best mechanic possible. And I was doing it out of finding just pure enjoyment. But there's more to happiness than just enjoyment. There's three parts. It's enjoyment, it's fulfillment, and it's purpose. And what the trap we fall into is if you can't find that fulfillment or purpose, you lean into enjoyment, and that's what I was doing. My gifts and my calling was not to be a bike mechanic. I couldn't find it, so I was just doing it because it was a good time and fun. Luckily, so I did that for, well, not luckily, I did it for 4 years, and then I met my wife, and then we got married, and then she had a conversation with me. You can't be a bike mechanic, because when I started off as a bike mechanic, I got paid $8.50 an hour is what you get paid for a bike mechanic. And for 4 years, I was determined to be the best bike mechanic in Fargo. And I was probably one of the best. And you know what I got paid? It was like $9.50 an hour. It wasn't going to pay to provide for the family. So then my wife talked sense into me, and I went to Target and got into my first leadership position. I was a team lead at the Fargo Target store. And that's when I started to find what my gifts were and my passion, and that was leadership. I love everything about leadership. I love working with teams. I love studying about interpersonal skills. And so I did that. And then, like most people, what I was looking for, I wasn't searching for my next steps or my next goals. I was waiting for it to find me. And this happens to a lot of people. We get into our careers, and we're just going to see what happens and see what opportunities present to us. Luckily, I worked hard, and in about 2 years, my manager told me, hey, we'd like to make you an executive team leader. Do you have a bachelor's degree? And my answer was no, I never completed my bachelor's degree. And that was when I was 25, and that's what brought me to University of Mary. And so now I finally had a reason in my head, there was other good reasons I didn't know of, to get that bachelor's degree. And so that's what I did. I got my bachelor's degree, and literally halfway through my bachelor's degree, this is not how it usually works, but they gave me the promotion because they thought I was going to complete the bachelor's degree. But then that's when I finally got the desire and the thrill of actually knowing what my gifts were and wanting to grow in that gifts. So one of my professors in my first class asked me, he went around the horn asking us all, why do you want to get this bachelor's degree? What is your goals? And I told her, I want to be a great leader. That's my goal. And so I focused on that through my bachelor's degree, got my promotion, and that was my path. Now, the bachelor's degree, let's unpack this a little bit. The way I see education is, it's kind of like a pyramid. I don't have a diagram, but there's a pyramid. And on the bottom of the pyramid is your K through 12 education, which is giving you a really broad variety of knowledge from history, English, math. It's very broad, but it's not very focused. Then you get into your bachelor's degree, and that you go to the next level of the pyramid, and it narrows down as far as the focus. Now, you still do 2 years of generals, which is a very broad knowledge base, but then the last 2 years, which probably a lot of you are in right now, you start going into your majors, whether it be business, teaching, and now you're finally starting to focus. But what I found out is just 2 years of really concentrating on what your profession is going to be, that skill set, is not enough. So then the next level is what I found is at the master's level, where you get, again, more narrowed focus, and you get to dive in to what your passions are. The beautiful thing about what I love about the master's degree is there's no generals. Most people, everyone usually has a subject they struggle with. For me, I hated math. Think of your head. There's probably 1 or 2 courses that kind of bit you in the butt. Mine was math class. When you get to the master's level, there is no math class, unless you want to be a math master's. So pick wisely. But what's nice then is you really get to dive into what you really want to learn. For me was, again, interpersonal skills. How do I become a better leader? The other thing I appreciated was there was more autonomy when you get to the master's level. And what I mean by autonomy is you get to pick and choose what you want to research and write on. So about 70% of the papers I wrote on were all about interpersonal skills, communication, and leadership. And what's beautiful about that is I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed my high school experience and more than I enjoyed my bachelor's degree because it was something I was passionate about. I'm already off topic already. This is great. I always say whenever I do PowerPoints, I never follow the slides. I don't even know why I do PowerPoints. But anyways, so finding your profession, that's the first step. So just for the sake of my presentation, I'm going to assume everyone here has figured out what their passion is, what their profession, and what their vocation is. So what's the next step? This next step is the path to mastering your skill set, and that's where you start getting that joy. As what Mark Twain always says, the 2 most important days in your life is the day you're born and the day you figure out why. Or, there's a third path. You might be lost in the woods. If you're lost in the woods, talk to someone, talk to a faculty, talk to your family, and start thinking about what am I good at, but more importantly, what do I love about what I'm good at? And that'll find your purpose. So happiness, this is one I love. There's a author, Arthur Brooks. He wrote a book called Build the Life You Want. And I think this is important to unpack a little bit. So happiness, why it's not said happy, according to Arthur, happy means it's a point in time. You're happy in this moment. And that's not what you want for your life. You're not trying to be happy in one single moment. You want to have this idea of continuous happiness. Or, as he says, you want to always continue to build happiness so you're growing. Now, it's going to go up and down as you go, but as long as you're on that trajectory of happiness, you're going to be living a more fulfilling life. And he says 3 parts, as I said earlier. It's enjoyment, and be careful, don't be like me, and going for biking and just focusing on pure pleasure. So the way to avoid that trap is it's pleasure plus people plus memory. And that's when you're doing enjoyment right. So the bad way to do enjoyment is, say, video games, or we're on our phones for 3 hours. That's not enjoyment because there's not other people with you. And when you're playing video games for 10 hours, a year later, you're not going to remember that moment. You're not going to remember that event. And that's what he's talking about for memory, is you want to remember it. Satisfaction, so that's achievement from struggle. And then purpose is your calling. And I think the best example of this whole concept is climbing a mountain to see the top view of a mountain. And there's a couple ways you can do it. One, you can just drive your car up there, and you get the view. You'll get enjoyment, but you don't get the satisfaction of actually climbing it. Now, if you climb the mountain, you get satisfaction. And probably the best example of getting all 3 would be is you climb a mountain with your family or friends. You do it every year so you stay connected. You climb it up, you struggle together, and now you got that idea of complete happiness, enjoyment, satisfaction, and purpose. And the same concept should go with when you're thinking about what you want to do with your careers and your education. All right. The learning curve. Do I have any athletes here today? Any athletes? Perfect. What sport? Soccer. All right, so let's talk about why you should do graduate studies. Why do you need to continue your education? Why can't you just figure this out on your own? Why can't you go do your career and learn from experience? So soccer. So let's say you're a freshman again, and your coach comes up to you and says, I'm going to redshirt you for a freshman year. And you got two options. You can train by yourself for the year, or you can train with the team, coaching staff, and trainers. What would your choice be? Why? Yeah. So I think sports is always a good analogy because it makes sense. It's so easy to think of this. If you do it by yourself, if you were training by yourself, would you actually be able to get to that mastery level? That's what I was thinking about college sports is now you're not just competing at just a casual level or like a competitive level. You're training at a purpose to master a skill set. And you can't do it on your own because it's too easy not to give your full effort. You need to get instructions from trainers and coach on how to do it right. And that's the same thing for graduate studies. Graduate studies is a way to master a skill set or a career by being more efficient and being more effective with your time. You can do it on your own, but it takes longer, and that's what this chart's saying. Sorry I didn't put the axis points on it, but it's pretty simple. On the bottom axis, it would be time, and up top and bottom would be greatness level, let's put it that way. So if you do it by yourself, it's going to be a slow, long process, but you do it with help. That learning curve, that level of understanding, mastery goes up really quickly. You're more efficient, you're more effective. Your shortcomings, when you lose that motivation, you're going to have your teachers that are going to hold you accountable to get those assignments in. They're going to teach you how to learn the right ways so you retain it. And what that looks like, more analogies about physical fitness, everyone knows heart rate, right? So the key to getting in better shape is to elevate your heart rate. If you elevate your heart rate for longer periods of time compared to the low rate, your physical health goes up faster. So it's the same thing as that learning curve. So I call this the brain rate. So at the lowest level, the bottom there, 5 to 20%, very light, that's your self-learning and reading. Every level goes up when you start applying someone helping you learn the behaviors or education, so demonstrations, lectures. Then the next level is discussion groups, and this is key. When you have to start providing practical reasoning, when you're learning things, that's when you actually not only retain the knowledge, but you go from just understanding a topic or a skill, and you get clarity where you start getting wisdom where you know how to apply that knowledge. And that's the biggest difference, I think, between graduate studies and undergraduate studies, is you get that clarity about whatever you're learning or skill set. For me, it was interpersonal skills now. And just like for soccer, if you do it the right way, you train, and you dedicate the time at the right levels, it becomes muscle memory. And all those interpersonal skills I've learned from my bachelor's degree, and more importantly, my master's degree now, I don't have to think about it when I'm leading my team. It's just ingrained, just like when you're kicking a soccer ball or dribbling a soccer ball or passing. You've done it so much, and you've taken the time to do it at the right levels, you become a master of those skills. So yes, that one I made up, but just in case you're questioning if I'm just making all this stuff up, this is actually true. So this is the learning pyramid, same concept. So on the right-hand side, you can see this is the average retention rate based on what type of learning you're doing. So again, lecture and reading are at the bottom. You only retain about 5 to 10%, and this is done by an actual study. And as you go down further, as far as the level of learning you're doing, you start doing discussion groups where you have to do critical thinking, or you have to start writing, which is practice by doing. And this is where you really start to grow in your skills. And then the bottom one, if you want to get that 90% retention is when you start teaching other people. And that's where you really then become the master of your craft. All right, let's get into more of the return on investment. Let's pivot a little bit here. Again, what does a graduate degree get you after you're completed? Why do you want it on your resume? Well, here's the numbers. First off, only 14% of Americans have a master's degree. Compared to right now, there's 40% of the people have bachelor's degree. And just look around at your classmates when you look at graduation. Everyone in that Civic Center is competing in a way with you with those jobs. How are you going to set yourself apart when you go into those interviews? And that's where that graduate degree, you become not the 40% of the population, but the 14% of the population. And the census says that individuals under 25, only 9% of them have their graduate's degree. So you can get ahead of the curve. Like I said earlier, the average age when people start their master's degree is 32 years old. If you start when you're younger, you're beating them to the punch in a way. And again, the bank statement, that's always one we always look at, so you got the chart there. Master's degree, you earn 20% on average more than a bachelor's degree. We'll talk about costs a little bit later. It pays itself off. If you're worried about the cost of a master's degree, education is expensive. It's an investment, and it's a great return on investment. It usually takes, if you average the 20% increase in your wage for your career, it's about 2 to 3 years, and you pay off that master's degree. Now, the problem what happens is we don't pay off our education. We go and buy a boat, and then we don't pay it off right away. But if you would actually just take that money and pay off your degree, it'd pay for itself. All right, X factors about graduate studies. So obviously, we all know now, it's good investment. You know you're gonna gain skills, you're gonna gain mastery. But there's a lot of other things in the graduate study specifically that a lot of people don't think about. One is networking. If you're looking to get into a career, you're gonna be networking not only with peers your own age this time, you're gonna be networking with ones that are already established in their careers. You're gonna be working with people in their 30s that are well established. And then what you get is you get to learn from them. Peer-to-peer learning was the thing I enjoyed just as much as the homework in my master's degree. I got some of my professors here, so I gotta be careful what I say here. But I learned so much just hearing about people's experience, and more importantly, their struggles as leadership, and having that dialogue with my classmates, and actually figuring out a way, again, to how do I get this knowledge I'm learning, this understanding, and provide clarity, and how am I going to actually apply it in my career? And that peer-to-peer learning is so critical. And it's different, again, at the graduate level, because you're going to be with classmates that have more work experience than your classmates right now. Critical thinking. I'm not going to tell you that graduate studies is easier. It is going to challenge you more, but it's a good challenge, just like when you're training for soccer or football. You've got to push yourself. Your input equals your output. Your effort and motivation is going to help you grow. But what's beautiful about our programs is they are manageable. They are designed with faculty and student success advisors that are going to help you along the whole way. You're going to learn communication skills, organizational skills, which are good for any industry. It doesn't matter if you're going to be a nurse or if you're going to go into business or if you're going to go be a teacher. Those are critical skills that you'll learn just because you have to stay organized to get through the programs. That fulfillment piece, it's climbing that mountain. It's the climb that actually ends up being more enjoyable a lot of times than the view at the end because you see yourself growing. And then confidence. You get so much confidence from when you see yourself grow, especially when your mind grows. So for example, like I said earlier, the reason why I dropped out of school the first time was because I couldn't write, and I also struggled with public speaking. I did not know how to actually present. I had social anxiety. When I went for my master's degree, another professor asked me what was my goal, and I told him I wanted to get better about communication. More specifically, I want to figure out how do I get over my fear of public speaking. And hopefully you guys agree, I was able to do that. If I would have done it on my own, there's no way that I'd be here right now, talking in front of you right now, because I'd be freaking out. You can't do it on your own. And then opportunities. Dr. Troy Beekler's in the crowd, so I'm glad. I'm going to steal this, Troy. He told me this when I was going through the program. A graduate degree or any degree, it gives you keys. Put them on your keychain. The beautiful thing is they never expire, but what they do for you is they open doors that you don't even know exist. There's going to be opportunities that will unfold for you just because you have a graduate degree on your resume. So for example, the one that opened for me, thanks to Troy, was after I completed my program, he came up to me and asked me if I wanted to do some teaching for the master's program. And I'm like, I don't think I can. Don't I have to get a doctoral degree first? And he goes, no, you can actually teach with a master's level degree. So 6 months after I got my MBA, I taught my first MBA course. Never saw that coming. There's going to be these doors that are just going to open for you just by having that advanced degree. So what about the programs at University of Mary? Why UMary? Obviously, there's a lot of other schools you could go to. Well, one, it's convenient. You're here already. We'll start there. We have 20-plus graduate doctoral programs to choose from. Some of them are 100% online. We do have some programs that are more of a traditional on-site learning. It's affordable. University of Mary, both on the undergraduate programs and the graduate programs, we are one of the most affordable private universities in the nation. And to be more frank, we are more affordable than a lot of state schools, even here in North Dakota. We try as hard as we can to always keep our tuition as low as possible. There's online learning. So when you go into the master's degree, it's a whole different format. You can learn from anywhere and at whatever time works best for you. For me, when I was doing my degree, it was best at 10 o'clock at night. I don't sleep. I like to study at night. You can do it at 10 o'clock at night. You can do it at 6 in the morning. You don't have to worry about doing it as a traditional learner and doing it between 8 and 4. So what that means is these programs are designed for the working professional. So you can start your career and your graduate degree at the same time, and that's how these programs are built. They are flexible. You work with a student success advisor, and they make a custom degree plan for you, and it doesn't stop there. Once you go into the program, if life happens, when I was getting my master's degree, my wife we had a kid halfway through there. So I took a 5-week break. I talked to my advisor. I said, I just need a 5-week break so we can get baby all settled in. So I paused, and I went right back into my studies. At any point, you can take a pause, and you can make the degree plan work for you, or if you prefer, you can do 10 weeks on, 5 weeks off, if that works for you. You want to enjoy your summer, you have a big vacation plan, take the summer term off. You can go at whatever pace you want, and when life changes, and it does, we will adjust the degree plan for your life schedule. We have 25 years of online learning experience. Most people don't know that, but in the 90s, we were one of the first universities that really adapted to online learning and offering degrees designed for working professionals. At that time, it was more on-site learning. It was evening classes, 1 night a week for learning so that way you could do your career. And we still offer those programs for on-site learning if that's how you prefer to learn, especially in the business programs. And then our faculty, great faculty and advisors. They'll support you from registration to graduation. And what I tell everyone that comes to me and asks me about why University of Mary, why should I do University of Mary, and this is my honest answer. When I went back to get my master's in business administration from University of Mary, I had no plans to work here. My plan was to get into a project management industry, and that was my path. And halfway through, the more I interacted with faculty and staff, I just fell in love with it. There's no bad people, no angry, grumpy people that work at University of Mary. They have the biggest hearts. And that's my biggest sell is the reason why I'm in front of you right now and the reason why I took this job is because of the faculty and staff here at University of Mary, because they just genuinely care more than anyone else I've seen in the world, not just in higher education. And that's the University of Mary difference right there. All right, let me run through these programs or what we have to offer. I'm not going to talk to you about each program, but if you do want to learn more about programs, outside in the foyer afterwards, we have coffee and cookies, but more importantly, we have both faculty and the admissions team set up at tables. There's little signs that'll say what programs they're a part of. Go ask them questions. This is not a hard sales pitch. We want to just inform you, so there are no dumb questions. And again, going back to my regret, is when I was 25 years old, and it was my advisor from University of Mary said, have you considered an MBA program? And I lied, I said no. I didn't say no. I said no because I didn't know what she meant. I was embarrassed. Don't be. One thing that I struggle with higher education is sometimes we make it more complicated than it needs to be. So my goal for me and my team is to make this as simple as possible. There's a lot of acronyms, and I've used a few in this presentation, I'm sorry. if you have questions, ask them. Don't let your fear of the unknown or fear of, I don't know what they're saying, and I don't want to feel stupid. This is a safe space, so ask the questions. So let's go through the schools. We got the Gary Tharelson School of Business. So we have 3 master's level programs. We have the Master of Business Administration, Master of Organizational Leadership, and Master of Project Management, and then the Doctor of Business Administration. So if you're looking for business, what's beautiful about how we have it laid out is you have 3 clear pathways on what you want to learn and what skills you want to grow in. Master of Business Administration, here's what I think of it as. If you want to learn about operations, strategies, administrations, and how to run a business, I think everyone is a leader, and I think there's 2 types of leaders. You're a leader of people and teams, or you're a leader of process. And both are great. But this is the whole thing about discerning on who you are. If you're more in that kind of that process mindset, or you like really just kind of like the strategic plan and seeing how things work, it might be the Master of Business Administration. If you want to be like me more and lead people and teams, that's what the Master of Organizational Leadership teaches you. It's all about learning interpersonal skills and virtuous leadership to help you strive to be the best leader possible. And then the last one is Master of Project Management. That one's the easiest one to understand. It's mastering the art of project management. And then the last one, we do have the Doctor of Business Administration, and that is the only DBA program in North Dakota, and it's also one of the most affordable ones in the country. And it's 100% online. So if you really love your master's degree, down the road, 5 years from now, you got that one. All right, I'm going to speed up a little bit quick so we got enough time for questions. St. Gianna School of Health and Sciences. So there's basically broken down into 2 different programs. We have nursing programs and we have health professional programs. So here's the kind of the list of nursing programs. The nice thing about all of our programs is they have specializations, so you can kind of focus on, do you want to go into informatics? Do you want to go into leadership? Or do you want to go into like nurse educator, where maybe you want to make a transition into training, or maybe higher education is your pathway. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about this. There's also a dual degree that you have both the Master of Science in Nursing and a focus on business, the Master of Business Administration. Here's the health professional ones. We got the ones on the left are your online programs, and then on your right is your on-site learning programs. So these programs are really for those who are passionate for healing, to help people overcome their physical ailments. So it's all about helping people live with less pain in the physical mindset, in the physical realm, put it that way. We got the Lifrick Family School of Education and Behavioral Sciences. So here we got the Master of Science in Counseling. There has never been more of a demand right now for mental health. We all know that. If you are drawn to that, where you want to serve to help people with their mental health, maybe counseling. Then on the other side is the education part. We have the Master of Education. And again, a lot of different tracks, or as I like to say, specializations. So you can take your love of education, and again, that whole pyramid concept now you're going even another pyramid up and really focusing in maybe on administration, or maybe you have the heart for special education, and you can really, really get your narrow focus so that you really do become that expert in your field. School of Arts and Sciences. So we have 4 programs for that school. And these are ones, I always say, is for the Catholic professional. It's ones who want to integrate both their faith and practical reasoning into their professions. And we have the Master of Arts in Catholic Theology, the Master of Arts in Catholic Studies, and then we have the MBA, MA in Philosophy dual degree. And if you're the creative mindset, which I'm not, we also have the Master of Arts in Music. These programs, I think, really, truly show our mission of University of Mary, which you guys all know, University of Mary for Life. These programs are for the whole of life, not just the School of Arts and Science, but all of them. We do more than just teach out of the textbook, and hopefully you guys have felt this. The formation continues into the graduate studies so that you're well prepared for life, for the hard decisions, using practical reasoning and moral courage. It just helps you prepare for being successful. All right, common misperceptions, and I think there's always the big 3. So it's time, cost, and confidence. So this is the question everyone asks, and you've probably been guided one way or the other. Do I start my career or do I start my graduate program? And I can tell you, I can make a case for both. There's probably not one right answer, but I got an alternative. The way these programs are built, they're built for working professionals. You can do both. You can start your career and your graduate degree too at the same time. And it's capable, and I know you're capable of doing it because, and here's the reason why you don't want to put it off as long as I did. I started the program when I was 35 for the Master of Business Administration. I had 3 kids, and then I got a 4th kid halfway through. I was working 50 plus hours because I was working retail management, and I was able to do it. And I was trying to make a pivot. I was so ambitious, I actually doubled up on a bunch of my courses, and I still got it done, and I was able to get it done in 12 months. So that's the alternative is you can do both. There is no right or wrong answer as far as do you choose your career first or your graduate program. But again, don't wait until you're in your 30s. If your goal is to get to a mastery level or you want to be an expert or you want to be great at what you do it when you're young because it sneaks up on you. When I did my bachelor's degree, I had 1 kid and I was married. And after I got done with it, I'm like, well, I can't do this. I can't do any more school. And it gets busier. It never slows down. You think you're busy now, give it 5 years, give it 10 years, and you're going to be kicking yourself if you don't do it sooner. I think this is the number one misperception of graduate studies. So bachelor's degree is 40 courses, 124 credits, so 40 courses, 40 classes you had to take to get your bachelor's degree. It takes 3 to 4 years. Anyone know how long our Master of Business Administration program is? Any guesses? How many courses, how many classes do you have to take to get a master's in business? Good answer. Have you done some research? Well done. That's not usually the answer I get. You wrecked it. But no, that's the point. 12 courses. Your bachelor's degree took 40 courses. Master's degree is 12 courses. You can do it as little as 16 months for most of the programs. It's not as long as you think. It's a lot quicker. If someone would have told me again at 25, all you have to do is 12 more classes, and now you got an MBA instead of a business management, I would have said, yes, sign me up today. I thought it was going to be 3 or 4 more years. I had no clue it was that quick. The programs, the format, they're accelerated courses, and what that means is the course content goes faster. The courses, and this is not for all programs, so I'm just going to use the business programs for an example. They're 5 weeks long, and what you do is you take 1 course at a time. Other programs, you might take 2 courses and they're 7 weeks long, but either way, you take 1 or 2 courses at a time. It's not the same format you're doing right now for as far as learning, and that's what makes it more manageable. Looking back at it, I preferred that style versus the bachelor's degree, even if it wasn't because I was doing it because of work and family. I think it's easier to learn when you're only focusing on one subject at a time, but keep in mind, you're going faster, so the workload is more than your traditional 1 program thing. But if you stick to the program, how it works again for the Master of Business programs, 5-week courses, you take 1 at a time. Every 5 weeks you start a new program or new course. If you stay with the path, you get done in 16 months. And again, it's flexible. You can learn from anywhere at whatever time works best for you. Cost. So that's the other big one. Too expensive. But here's the little secret. Our graduate programs cost a little less than our undergraduate programs. And by a little less, I mean $52,000 less. They're not cheaper per credit, but what they are cheaper is because you're taking 12 courses. You're taking 36 credits instead of 124 credits. Now, this is taking business management, bachelor's degree, and an MBA as far as comparison with no scholarships. So this is just taken like that. It is substantially less to get your master's degree. It's not as much as you think it is. And then the other thing we offer for any student that goes from their bachelor's degree to their graduate degree within 1 academic year, you get the Next Step Scholarship, which is your first class free. Now, that not sound like a big scholarship, especially some of the scholarships you guys got with when when you became a first-time student, but we're talking 12 courses. So now you're only paying for 11 courses. But the key is, it's only good if you do it within the first academic year. So when you're graduating, think about it. That's a big savings if you do it within that first year compared to waiting longer. And then obviously you also get, if you're working for an employer, look for tuition benefits. Most employers now don't advertise their tuition benefits. It drives me crazy. They don't advertise them and they don't tell their employees about it. If you're working somewhere, whether it's this year, 5 years from now, whenever you decide it's the time for graduate studies, talk to your manager or HR and ask about tuition benefits. We get students all the time that come here and they get done with their program halfway through and they finally realize that they get tuition benefits, so their employer would pay for some of their degree. So ask about it. And then you also got FAFSA, you got federal loans. I didn't know that either. One reason why I didn't do my master's degree too when I was like discerning about when I was 30 is I'm like, oh, I can't afford it. Federal loans, you get those for both your bachelor's degree and your master's degree if that's the option you want to take. Confidence, not smart enough. The way I always see it is A students get A's, B students get B's. That was true probably when you were in high school. It's true when you're in your bachelor's degree, and it'll be true in your master's degree. And actually what I found out for myself and for a lot of our students actually is your GPA goes up with every step along the way, because you're getting smarter, you're getting better as a student, you're more capable as a student. But again, what I said earlier, there's no generals, there's no math, there's no English. Whatever your Achilles heel is that you got that C in, you're not learning that, again, unless that's what you chose. I always got A's when I did my business classes in my bachelor's degree. So when I got into my master's degrees, I got all A's. Now again, I'm not saying that it was easier, but it was my gifts, my strengths, and what I wanted to learn about, and that made all the difference. Again, it's all about your input equals your output. It's never, students don't get bad grades because they're not smart enough. They get bad grades because they're not motivated. They're not trying hard enough. They're giving up too soon. So it's your input that equals your output. It's never because you're not smart enough. It's because it's a motivation thing. I guarantee it. And we'll help you with that. We'll keep you on track, and we'll help you out if you struggle. Again, I said this earlier, there's more autonomy in your writing. You get to choose what you want to write on. You get to choose your research. I brought it with. Here's my capstone project for my MBA. And that's the fear everyone has is, am I ever going to use this? Am I going to ever use this knowledge? And we think about that from high school. There's a lot of knowledge we don't use anymore. Math. I keep saying I hate math. I don't use math. But business, interpersonal skills. Here's what I wrote on. Leading through relationships, a practical review on developing interpersonal skills. 2 days ago, I went to Watford City, and I gave a training for 3 hours on emotional intelligence. You'll use it if it's your calling, it's your passion, it's what you want to do with your career. It'll stick with you. I went through that whole pyramid. You'll retain it more because you're going to do active learning. You're not doing it on your own, and you will become a master of your skills in your craft. And again, the whole thing is, I'm worried because I don't have the confidence for it. The thing that education gave me more than anything else, both at the bachelor's and master's degree, what University of Mary gave me is confidence. Confidence in everything I did, from public speaking in front of you right now, communication, my leadership. It's ingrained now in my brain now. It's, again, muscle memory. Education, the best thing about education, in my mind, is actually the confidence you get from it. All right, that was a lot. What questions do you have for me? We'll hand out microphones here, but I'll give you an option. You can stay in here and ask me questions, but again, outside, I got the admissions team out there. There's going to be some faculty going out there as well, so if you get faculty, if you want to head out there. Go to the tables, ask your questions, but we'll pass around mics if anyone wants to ask me questions. I'm here to ask or answer them. But one more thing before you go. Here's where to get more information about. If you want to get your answers later, come look for us in the lower level of the Benedictine Center. That's when the admissions office is. There's the email addresses. You can call me or email me if you want to. I have my business cards on the table. But if you inquire today, I got a prize for you. This is the very first one. I got this in yesterday. A University of Mary cooler backpack with also some little prizes on the side there too. So we'll do a drawing for anyone who inquires today. Again, you don't have to even apply. You just have to inquire and say, I want some more information because I like what you're saying, Jeff. Get the scan code, hit the scan code, or if you prefer, we have inquiry cards on the tables outside. Fill it out, drop it in there. And again, we're here to help you guys. We're not here to give you a hard sales pitch. We'll be very nice and gentle, and we'll answer any questions you have. So we just want to give you guys some information so you can make the right discernment for yourself. All right, let's do some questions. Anyone got questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any distinctions between the motivations between getting your master's degree and then continuing further for your PhD?
Ooh, good question. So what's the difference as far as distinction between a doctoral degree and a master's degree? I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that yet. I'm only at the master's level. I'm not doctoral. Yes, so master's level, you're mastering that skill set. Doctoral level, now that's a terminal degree, and that usually means that now you're not just the master, you're really kind of at the expert level, and usually at that point then, you know it so well, you have such good clarity, you have that idea of understanding clarity, which is wisdom, is now you don't even have to think about it all. You can teach it, it's ingrained in your brain, and that's kind of what the doctoral level does. Does that make sense? Good question though. Up top.
Oh, we have a recording. Okay. Yeah.
How long before graduation should I start applying to programs and start figuring out scholarships and stuff like that?
As soon as you want. You can do it today. I mean, whatever works best for you as far as planning, it's never too soon to plan. I think it's good to plan earlier because what will happen is you're motivated today because I'm talking in front of you. I gave you a lot of good things to think about. 6 months from now, you might be a little less motivated, if that makes sense. So what I always tell people, whenever you know what your path is and what you want to learn as far as skill set, and you're motivated, do it right then. It was 10 years between my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. I looked at UMary's website so many times, but I never had enough motivation to actually do it in the time. It just happened one February. I just finally said, that's enough. I'm going to apply that day. And I started 7 days later. So whenever you're ready to make the decision, do it then.
Do you have any advice on the application process for applying for master's degrees?
What degree are you thinking about?
I was looking more at the education side of things.
Yeah, we've been trying to make it easier and easier. The application, in my mind, it's never been easier. How many pages is it, Mike? What's it? 4 pages maybe? Pretty easy. Every program has some specific requirements for education. There is a goal statement and references. So what it is an application, goal statement, and references that you need for the application process. The beautiful thing for you guys, we'll get the transcripts for you. We have them literally in the office next door to us, so we'll pull your transcripts for you. So literally to get it started, just the application. And we'll waive all application fees for anyone that's a UMary student. If anyone gives you trouble, to say that Jeff sent you. Otherwise, type in promo code READY, all caps, when you do the application, and then I'll waive that application fee. So no fee. Any other questions?
Just a comment for those who are considering going into counseling, the medical field, or business. There should be a booth out there from Stanford Health talking about getting that partnership in order to have that scholarship benefits and having a company that will help pay for your master's if you're interested in that.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. Yeah, so if you want to talk to Stanford Health too, as far as the pathways, what it looks like for as far as other scholarship opportunities, and maybe the next step as far as a career path for you if you're in the health sciences. Thank you. All right, we'll wrap it up again. We have the missions team out there, and we have faculty. Stop by, ask questions, visit. We also have coffee and cookies. Again, inquire if you want to win a chance to win the prize. But thank you guys for your time.